I'm getting things together here. Ta-da! Ta-da! You know, you have to do these things yourself sometimes, and getting things set up. So here we are, and we're all good to go. So welcome. We are on another episode of Conscious Mind Tripping. I am your host, Audrey Newmont, and I have a very special guest on today.
Ooh.
This guy.
Oh, me?
Yeah. Nick Newmont, my husband, who, like I said before on a post, there is never a dull moment when he's around.
Nope.
You want to tell them a little bit about you, sir?
Yeah, I just freaking turned 70. How's that? Is that enough? I said a quick post sharing the show saying that you made me provocative on the show, and it's like, well, who, me?
Talking now?
Yeah. Can you hear?
Yeah. Can we hear it now? Hello?
Well,
yep, we're back
Talking
on.
now?
All righty.
Yeah.
All right.
Stop
No more
touching
messing with
things.
things, for goodness sakes.
That's why for so long I did it in the studio.
Mm-hmm. Well, here we are. I think we have a lot to talk about.
We always have a lot to talk about.
We do.
First of all, I do want to say something about what I said. I just turned 70. Thank you to everyone that watches and is on Facebook and Instagram for all the really kind words and well wishes, you know, with my birthday. And thank you for such a wonderful celebration that you created for me and the guests that we brought in. It was really a lot of fun. And as I've said, look, I don't know what age is supposed to feel like, but the way people illustrate the aging process, I'm not 70.
You know what? Let's start out by talking about that for a quick second,
Sure.
because we spoke about it for a minute at the party. Nick just turned 70, and I just turned 63, and people tell us that we don't look our age, and they're asking us
We don't
what
act
we
our age
do. We
either.
don't act our age either. Sometimes we act like children. Just say it. Anyway, there's a way to grow old gracefully, and one of them is to,
Well, first of all, don't grow old.
yeah,
And I know we use words and the way we look at words, but the first thing is eliminating that word from the vocabulary.
Yeah.
You know, and how we think about our future. What's really important is what you envision and what you want your life to look like. Do you envision yourself, quote unquote, getting old? You know, a few years ago, someone who's sometimes watches this show, you know, both of our shows, said to me, well, you know, at some point you're going to want to slow down. And I was like, why?
right.
Why slow down?
So he still is coaching softball. So he gets out on the field. He's
Right.
working full time. He does all these different things that you do. You know, we have a
Right.
whole product line. He's getting things ready for the holidays, our new
Are we
holiday
ever?
candles that we've got.
Oh,
Harvest coming up for the, you know, the Thanksgiving holiday. So when you're looking at keeping your body healthy, keeping your mind healthy, your spirit healthy, what would you say, Nick, are some of the key things that you do that create such a lot of energy? Because he's got a lot of energy. Literally, I have to sleep on the other side of the bed because he's like too energetic. He's an energetic
she
guy.
means I broadcast a lot of energy. She doesn't mean I'm that too, but oh, Audrey. Look, you know, recently a couple of my my coaches, fellow coaches, said to me, and they were commenting on someone else that we know about the number associated with our age, and they were asking, like, what do you do? And I said, well, one thing, and this is for you, as a viewing audience, to know, is that the energy work that I do here, the sentient healing, causes me to recycle and recirculate energy through me on a very high level. And so what I'm doing is flushing out old feelings, emotions, old cellular stuff. And of course, yes, my hair is grayer and a little bit more wrinkles, but but I don't feel like that. In fact, if anything, the only criticism I have of myself is just carving out more time to just do more, movement and exercise. That's really it. I have healthy genes. I don't have any of the physiological issues that my family has had. And that starts with my belief system. I've told that story in the Healthy Mind, Healthy Body class, probably 8-10 times where, my mom commented, referencing relatives when I was like 10 years old, everybody in our family gets arthritis. And I went, no. And I just refused that. So, but it's not just refusing, it's what you claim for yourself. And I've got to tell you folks, time is moving faster, which means we are going to age differently. And there's a stigma on the age 65, which is completely inaccurate for these modern times. And you will see, and a lot of my clients agree with me, that soon we will recognize that 80 is the new 65, that people's mental and physical health and emotional health will continue to progress at a very healthy rate, because 80 years won't be 80 years anymore. And,
right.
Wrap your head around what I just said, but people will not be put out to pasture at age 65. And by the way, this is part of the formulae that has to do with the fear that Social Security is going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's going to be reformatted for people to work more years of their life and not get penalized.
Right.
That's what's coming. That's one of my predictions for the next couple of years to come, folks. A reformatting of Social Security, not a loss, not that it goes away or is consumed. That's not going to happen. All right.
The other thing that we do, we eat really, for the most part, I mean, certainly just had a birthday, but we eat really healthy. We eat organic. We stay away from processed foods.
Right.
There's a part where we don't take any meds, like none.
You don't.
We take
Right.
supplements. So
Right.
like if I'm having an ache in my body, I'll take turmeric, which is curcumin. And there's all these different things that we do that are a more holistic approach. And I think that makes a very big difference as well.
Right.
And I'm not going to get into a whole big thing about that, but there is that part where what you ingest, whether it's you're drinking, you're eating, various things, you really want to be careful about that. And the other thing, we make sure we have a lot of fun. And when we are having challenges, because we all have challenges, if you guys saw my post last week, I was having a challenge. I was in a bad mood. And so I drove myself to the beach and I processed through it. So these bad moments, these feelings, they're very creative in the body, and they do hinder the healing, and they do hinder the immune system. So when you have those kind of feelings, you want to really take the time to work through that and talk to somebody that is kind of on your side. Like somebody just called me today who's having a really hard time, and they called me because they knew I'm going to be a voice of reason. I'm going to be a voice of logic, a different perspective. And that's exactly what happened. They felt better after they spoke with me. And you find that person that resonates with you so that you're working through those feelings instead of getting stuck in them. Right?
Yep, it's true.
So what are your other predictions, Mr. Newmont? And by the way, if you're watching live, you can text on Facebook at Audrey Newmont on Facebook, not text. You can go in the comment and ask questions, and we can answer them, or better yet, he can answer them.
Well, there's a lot of things that come my way, and I know that you have things on your mind. One of the questions, believe it or not, is, I have a number of clients that own Tesla stock. And I'm being asked, do I sell, hold, things like that? And I was able to go in and
show them what you're looking at. I think it's kind of wild. Yeah, they can see it.
I created the astrological chart for Tesla stock. Okay. But I also do the numerology on it. And here's what you want to know. When I say this, Audrey's eyes and eyebrows are going to perk up. Tesla, the birth date of the Tesla car, okay, not when it came out in the market, but when the company was started, was July 1st, 2003. And when you do the numerology on it, 2025 comes out to 9, and 1 makes it 10, and 7 is 17. Tesla is in a 17/8 year, okay? Until its next birthday. 17/8. That's good.
That's real good.
So if I own the stock, and I am not a stockbroker, so I can't tell you, what you should do, but if I owned it, I would hold on to it. I think that the whole concept of the market finance is all being reworked right now. I put a lot of energy into the global market, topics that are very advanced when it comes to finance, global currency. It's things that I've talked about, for some time, and things to come. And I really believe that when it comes to some of these global currencies, that we are right on the precipice of a lot of major makeovers in terms of governments that participate in this. And we are really on the doorstep of life-changing events that will put money in good people's hands and create a trickle-down effect.
That would be really nice. So are you looking at that numerologically, astrology? What are you doing? Psychically. Because you never know where he's getting all of this stuff. It's all these different avenues.
when I do a reading for people and I do their charts, one of the things I don't really say, because sometimes people think the reading is just an astrology reading, but I'm a psychic astrologer. So when I'm looking at things, imagery comes in at the same time, not just what's on the chart. So I think in the year ahead, and I think I feel and I see some very powerful changes that are coming soon, very, very soon. And some of the cryptocurrencies like XRP, which is crypto gold, that will eventually get to a point where it's like a Bitcoin. It'll be huge numbers. And that's all part of something that Merlin said a good 8-9 years ago. And he was referring to the United States and how business is done, the country on the whole, the chart. And he said that because the chart goes back to 1776, and Merlin doesn't look at charts, that he referred to the financial system as old machinery, and it's moving so fast because we do things, on air, wireless and everything. He said that it's old machinery and it's breaking, and it'll have to be, reinvented. There'll be a whole new system. And then, of course, for those of you that have watched my show for all these years, back in around February of 2023, the planet Pluto aligned with itself, which happens every 249 years, in the House of Finance of the United States of America, which is a complete death and rebirth. So we're in a remaking right now. Now, here's what I want you to remember, because everybody expects sort of this microwave conversion. Well, it's done. It's got to be good. And no, Pluto moves at a snail's pace. And if you have a baby, and we have a grandson that's a year and a half old, he doesn't come out, a full-fledged teenager, playing high school baseball. He has to grow and learn and speak. And so the financial system of the United States is in an infancy stage right now. It was reborn.
Wow.
Okay. And so we have to be patient for all of this to happen, but it is in motion. It is in action. So
I think it's really exciting.
Well, it is exciting. It actually is. Look, when the planet Pluto this past year left Capricorn and went into the sign of Aquarius. That's a transformation into the Aquarian age, which we've been talking about since, the late 60s, the age of Aquarius. But it's a very tumultuous time. It's not a bad time. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which is unpredictable. But we're in this transformation of life on this planet right now. And an age change, constellationally, astrologically, happens every 2,000 years. So we're living in times that we could only imagine what this could be like.
Right.
This is, it's quite fascinating of
It
what's
truly
going
is.
on. And so we have to be very patient with the process. I've been saying, because I'm very apolitical, I've been saying for about 6 years now, the truth is we don't really know what the truth is. There's a lot of things that are shrouded.
And I want to jump in for a second on that, because I think it's really important to get, not only do we not know what the truth is, but I spoke about this with my friend Gary Stewart. He's got his new book out about AI. And there, like, for instance, I was looking at a post today and somebody had posted whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. And then in the comments, you see, oh my God, that's disgusting. And, they're just looking at it as if the post was absolutely true. And then finally, I looked down a little bit further and somebody posted, this is not a real picture, it's AI.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to really use our discernment. And when you're looking at everything, understand that there is a lot of manipulation that's going on. So when you're looking at something and it brings up those feelings in you, and whatever they are, the fear feelings I talk about, it's really important to get, is it worth feeling this way? When we're talking earlier about being healthy in our body, if you have that feeling and it's like, oh, I don't like this, it's disgusting. If you're looking at something and there's an element of fear that comes up, whatever those feelings are, a lot of the time it's intended to bring up those feelings for you, because when we are feeling that way, we're not thinking clearly and we're not owning the health of our body. When my clients come in, a lot of times, in fact, in a little while, I'm going to tell an interesting story. So when you're looking at everything and there's a political element to it, there's a part where you have to get, there's people that believe this, there's people that believe that, and then there is a lot of times a middle ground. And if you're having those feelings that are coming up, it's really important to do more research to look to find that middle ground, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a big deal moment with all of that. So continue on, sir.
Well, when you look at, the country's birth date is July 4th. And so when you bring in 2025, which is 9 into that, 9, 4, 13, 17, 20. So the country until next July is actually in a pro-peace, kind of posture and tempering things.
I like that.
The number 2 is the yin, the feminine energy. So the country, no matter who's in power, is in more of a feminine posture, okay? More of a nurturing. And this goes on for another 9 months that we're in this. So, I believe that for people right now with their personal uncertainties, play, when it comes to finance, play it conservatively. Just be smart about how you handle money and finance and things of that nature, but not from a fearful standpoint.
It looks like silver is an option that is really an amazing option. And I've heard it from a few sources at this point. So what would you say about, and this isn't to give financial advice, it's to have you look and make your own decisions.
Well, when you look at silver over the past couple of years, it's really doubled. All right. It was in the low to mid 20s, and now today it was like 47 or 48. And then a couple of weeks ago, it actually was around 54. And, when you read, I do things psychically, but I also look at the logic behind it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised soon if silver's at 60 and in the new year, definitely 100. And there are a lot of reasons why in terms of manufacturing and technology as to why silver would go that high in terms of product that silver is in that make a big impact. So, you can look at forecasting and things like that, but there has to be a reason why and how that would get there. It's not really about, there it is. There's got to be something that's in the process that would bring this to that. And that's been one of the concerns of the stock market for a good 15 to 20 years now, that the Dow Jones index is so inflated that, what's it based on?
Right.
There's nothing to substantiate that. So we truly are in an inflation period and have been for some time. And the concern is that what happens, could it collapse? Well, the stock market, I look at that. The birthday is May 17th. That's a 22 and 9 is 31. So which is a 4, which means the stock market actually really is across the board for a year is in a very slow, conservative process. So you play with, if you're an investor, you play with that. In a 4-year, do you look at like rapid growth? No, you go with moderate growth, be conservative. And that way the fluctuations that are in play are not going to go like this with your portfolio. It's going to be right here. In a 5-year, now next year, I will tell you this, the stock market in 26 after May will be a lot more changeable and fluctuate a lot more. It'll look like a crazy EKG. It'll be doing this. So just be mindful of that. Now, one of the big topics that has got all the social media going crazy is this Atlas 3i situation. And I have looked into this, and the first thing is, am I absolutely sure what this is? No, but here's what I'm going to say. I do feel that the powers that be do know what it is, and they're not really telling us. Are we on the precipice of actual contact with beings from other places? Well, as announced to society, yes. Okay. And I can tell you that, and I'm speaking psychically, not because I visited these places, that beings, there are locales on the planet where these beings are. They are housed, they hide, but it's not that they're coming from 10 light years away, beaming in and out. They're on the planet, and they have been for a long time. And there's areas of Earth that are quote unquote, let's call them remote. Okay. But that's where they are. But this thing that we're talking about, it doesn't feel like some major, to me, energetically, like this major mothership, en route here. Because that itself is a bit of a fallacy, because they're already here. I'm sorry, they just are. To me, it feels like it's a combination of, you're going to laugh when I say this, a combination of some kind of meteoric metal attached to space junk, okay? That it is some kind of body that's a combination of materials that is moving through space because it is meteoric.
So curious question, because Nick is also we work with stones. He uses them in the healing work. We sell them. We do a lot with stones. So energetically, so I'm in my mind imagining like moldavite. Moldavite is one of those stones. It's kind of like crazy making. And is there a possibility that, because everything is energy, everything is frequency, and is there a possibility when you're looking at whatever that is, maybe it has an energy to it that can be creative? Like imagine some of the stones that we work with, like the sentient plasma quartz crystals. Is there a possibility that there is something in that has any kind of a energetic
properties, highly energetic properties, of course. But when you get down to it, in collecting crystals and buying crystals, there are pieces of meteor that are polished. Like, for instance, I remember getting for a client years ago, definitely bigger than a grapefruit, a polished round piece of nickel iron that's from a meteorite. And it was heavy as hell. I mean, it was heavier than a bowling ball. It's only this big, not this big, and to pick it up.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. So most of these things that are broken off from something are minerals, composites, that some of them are common, to Earth. And like Audrey said, some of them, like the Moldavite, comes from Czechoslovakia, the Moldavia Valley, and that's a stone major vein that hit Earth God knows how many millions of years ago. It's the only place on the planet where you can get Moldavite, and they are mining it to death. It's expensive, and it's going to get even more expensive. So, but this, whatever this thing is not going to hit the Earth. It'll pass through. It just
alleviating some of the fears around this, hopefully.
And I don't think it's lights that are blinking on it. I think it's reflective materials that cause that. Light refracts and creates prismatic events and things like that. But to have, look, the other thing is, and how I look at this also might be a distraction of some kind to create public attention to that when something else is going on, and beings show up, but they're really been in the Earth all this time. I wouldn't put past anybody to do anything at this point.
Well, when you're looking at all of this, it's really important to, if you're going into any fear about this, that's, again, you have to be in the moment. You have to be grounded and centered in this moment, and trust, have faith that you're going to be okay, whatever it looks like. People have a tendency to be at the top of the hill and they start worrying, oh my gosh, what if? There is no what if at this point. There's not enough information. So as long as we are not knowing, you can go with this idea or any that makes sense to keep you calm and grounded. It's very important right now because there's so many things that are going on in all these different areas. And
look, and so much is put on people that's fear-based, and some of it's supposedly science. Remember back when we were talking about Y2K, computers were going to crash and all that kind of stuff, and nothing happened.
Right.
Nothing happened. In fact, the one part of that where I was very accurate, because I was a lot more active in the stock market and following that and quote unquote advising people. The thing that I said, because of the way the numbers would play out going from 1999 to 2000, and what I mean by that, when you add 1999, which is 3 9s and a 1, which comes out to 28 added into the month and the day, where 2000 all of a sudden is just a 2, that reduces the value of the personal year greatly. And so what I told people, and some people listened, some didn't, I said that the NASDAQ stocks, the ones with the 4-letter symbols, were going to take a dive, and they did. So it's not like computers crashed. There were facets that changed due to that. And like I said, some people listened and some didn't.
Well, you know what? That's choice. That's free will.
Yes.
Hey, tell them what just happened with your football.
Oh, and I put that up on Facebook, but hardly anyone commented. I was talking with people I'm very close to, on Sunday afternoon about, it was the Sunday night game, was Pittsburgh and Green Bay. And I said Green Bay would win by 10 points. And everybody in Pittsburgh thought I was a terrible ex-Pittsburgher and all that kind of stuff. And I'm wrong. Pittsburgh's going to win by 3. Oh, that's real positivity. I just call them as I see them. And the final score was Green Bay 35, Pittsburgh 25. Green Bay by 10.
So you don't predict much with the baseball games as much as with the football games. Why is
No,
that?
because there's too many factors that come into baseball that it's very complex of all the sports. And even if you talked about quote unquote fixing sports, which there's rumor that certain shenanigans go on because money changes hands. Did I say that? And I hold that topic for, I don't do it. I just don't do that. Each team plays 162 games a year, and there's 30 teams. Multiply that by, it's just too many games to get involved in. I don't do fantasy league sports of anything. It's too time consuming. You have to pay attention to too much. Where of all the sports, football, there's a lot more blatant tendencies that I can look at. But the funny thing is, in being a psychic, and I've never been a tabloid psychic, and back in October when we did the show where we are predicting the outcome of the presidential election, and I was right, not because I chose, by opinion or by, emotion. I just was very upfront about why one would win and blatantly why the other would lose. And I had people get mad at me, well, you're this and you're that. I go, no, I'm just being a psychic. If you come to me for a private reading, do you want me to paint a rosy picture when it's not? You want me to blow smoke? And then you find out, that didn't happen.
I think that we're in a point where it's like you have to, and it goes back to that thing that I said before about being triggered. You have to really be able to look at the good, the bad, the ugly, and be able to hear whatever that is. Sometimes you say a name and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like it's gotten to the point of ridiculous. So when he's making these predictions, he's not saying this is the best choice. He's saying this is what I see, that's going to happen.
Right.
And for people to get angry about that, you got to check yourself. You got to look at, why would I be angry about this? And that is a key question, a critical thinking question you ask yourself. Why do I get so angry about this?
Because in times where in a personal reading, I have been wrong, which is not very often, and I have a lot of clients that would come forward and say that, I've certainly been told at times, well, you were wrong about this. It's like, so on a personal level, you don't want me to be wrong for you, but I deal in a reality, and I don't mean a psychic reality. I mean, I deal in reality.
I'm going to say something about all this that I personally, I've been watching this for 26 years. Who was that? Somebody coming in the door. I've been with him for 26 years, and there's been a few occasions where he's been wrong. And one in particular that I'm thinking of. By the way,
just know, for all of you that are married, yes, part of the spouse's job is to tell you when you're wrong.
No, it's not me telling you he was wrong in that regard.
In that regard, no, not playing.
No, there was one situation in particular, and you have to get when people are psychic and they're looking at things, aside from like astrology or numerology, the psychic thing, they're looking at timelines, and it can be that he saw something with somebody. It doesn't matter what the story is, but he's looking at, this is going to happen. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So he's looking at the thing, and it didn't happen the way that he actually, in the timing that he said it was going to happen, but it ended up happening in a later time. So it's not that it happened at this, like within a year, it happened within a extended period of time. So when you're looking at things psychically, you're looking at possible timelines, and things can shift the timeline.
Things can shift the timeline, but when you're looking at things psychically, you're not looking at when, you're looking at the what.
Right.
Okay. That's why we use astrology and numerology, because they are timing based, not just event based.
So then for you as a psychic, here's what makes this guy so interesting. He's a psychic, but then he's also looking at the numerology. He's looking at the astrology in particular, but then you're also looking at tarot, and he's also a channel
and sometimes
a
palmistry.
medium. Yeah, so he's looking at a whole bunch of different avenues to assist people in making their choices, for what they're doing. So it's like, well, what should I do about a job, or what's going on with a relationship? What's the best time to get pregnant? And all these different avenues that people choose. So he's helping them with all of these tools, basically, right?
Right, exactly. And speaking of tools, by the way, there's a little public service announcement.
A PSA?
Yes.
What?
Or a PDA. So the energy work that we do here, called sentient healing, I just put a group of people in a year-long program that got through what's called the internship. And some of those people in that group liked it so much, they want to come back and, take the level 1 again.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's how good this was. But what I'm saying is, watch the announcements, because level 1 begins again in January, and it's the first Monday in January 5th or whatever that is. So if you are interested in getting into a very qualified healing arts program, that is one of the things that we teach here. It's very in-depth, and we have turned out quite a few prolific healers here that have careers doing this.
Yeah.
And the world needs more people to come forward and do, perform the healing arts.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how talented you think you are, aren't, or whatever schools of it, if you've gone through Reiki or different practice like a massage therapist. This is a wonderful program, and it's a program of a full consciousness. Everybody that takes it say how much they've grown since taking these classes, and it is more than a year long to go through this. And there are periodic Saturday classes that are addendums of more advanced topics, and I love teaching it. So watch the announcements.
I've been watching this again, all these groups of people, because he's been doing this since we met back in Culver City. We had a house and we used to have classes in this large den area. And
the very first class I taught was September 14th, 1999.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, he knows these dates. How do you do that?
I happen to be a numerologist. What a perfect question. See this book? It came out in 2003, January of 2003. Look at that. Look at all that hair.
Right, you still have all that hair. It's just a different color.
I just got sheared recently. By the way, can I talk about this for a second?
Yeah.
So at my birthday celebration, it was brought up that, teasing me that my ego is in play because this numerology book is spelled N-E-W, numerology, like my name. And I said, no. And I had to explain myself like an attorney 10 different ways. This is not because of my name. The publisher happened to put this in red. The reason it's numerology, it's a new system of numerology with a lot of new topics and new ways of doing things that are in no other book. And it is the most expansive numerology book on the planet. That's why it's numerology, not because of this guy. Okay. But boy, I got teased about that. But anyway.
That book is also, they did a really good, he created the book, and then the publisher right afterwards, unfortunately, went out of business.
I know.
So we haven't got a publisher that's working with it, but it's an excellent book. And tell them the other part of it. It's the only book that goes to 100.
99.
99. That's what it is.
The most books go to about 49, meaning 49 over 4. There's a book I like a lot that these two women based it on the tarot, so it goes to 78. It's 78 tarot cards, but mine goes to 99 because 9 is the number of completion, and so it's 99 over 9. 9 and 9 is 18, 1 and 8 is 9. And so all my all my numbers look like inverted fractions, these triads. And it's very involved. It's predictive. It profiles personalities. You can name a business, name your kids, pick an address, all of that.
We did all of that. We named all of our kids that
Numerologically, yeah.
Their life path number, their birth path number,
Right.
Our where we would move to, the numbers had to work, and business.
Yep, all of it. I even used numerology to name the book. Even that part where it says, from sex to stocks, it's all in the numbers. That subtitle, it had to work before I would allow them to, publish it.
Yeah. So if you're interested, so you can order that through us, or get it through us. But the other thing is, when they take that course, they learn numerology, they learn astrology, they learn all of it. It's fascinating how much you employ with all that.
And one of my students from a long time ago, who is a former high-level corporate executive, now does readings for people. And I'm so proud of her, doing that. It's like, yes, I want people to do that, to take what they learn here.
Nick, I want to talk about something else as well while we're at that. We're in a moment right now where it seems like the veil is getting thin and people are much more open to that psychic part of themselves, that intuitive part of themselves. I call it the first driver. So we're much more able to be in that connection with ourselves and do the things that you do. Can you talk a little bit more about that, what that looks like?
Well, we're in the Aquarian age, which creates a lot more sensitivity and humanitarianism and revolution. Pluto's evolution, Aquarius, Uranus is revolution. And so we are in a time that we are more sensitive. Now, that has a duality to it. You're speaking about being precognitive or psychically sensitive, but Aquarian energy makes people sensitive. That's why people are a little testy right now.
Talk more about that, because it's like people are snappy. I was snappy last week. Talk a little bit more about what that looks like. Well,
that's things in your personal chart that have a lot to do with that, but it does involve the planet Uranus, which is Aquarian energy.
What did you say? Uranus is squaring Uranus?
Everybody's a comedian. The planet Uranus.
Uranus.
Yeah.
No, he tells me that last week, and he was like, you might want to, go be alone.
Well, here's the irony. The planet Uranus squares itself when you're around 21, 22, one of our daughters, and then with Audrey at her age right now. So I'm in the middle of this.
Yeah, the one daughter that lives with us still.
We got two of them with Uranus squaring, and it's a very freedom-seeking quality with no patience whatsoever. It's very testy, but it has a lot to do with a lot of internal questioning is really what it is.
Yeah,
is what it means.
For those that watch, that's why I took that day at the beach and I did the process, and I was fine by the end of it, and I've been much, much better, huh?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
I have to say.
I'm not so snappy, honey.
Look, the thing that in times like this, what I recommend to people is truly meditate. Really get a good meditative practice, because it will help enhance the sensitivity and what we call the veil.
I want to talk about that thing. We're looking at somebody walking outside our window here. I want to talk about the other thing that happened. So a few weeks ago, Nick came to me after his shower and he meditates.
You're talking about Merlin?
Yes.
Okay, I knew where you wanted to go. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
This is really important.
This was a big deal, and meditation is what reminded me.
Right. So, as I've said before, my best meditation is the morning shower. It's the water hitting me, which is very calming. There's white noise, and I put myself in sort of a pillar of white light, and Merlin comes in and talks, along with other guides too. And the shower stall is only so big. So it's like, come on, if you're going to be in here with me, at least do my back. All right. They think they're so helpful, but geez, come on, lend a hand. All right. So Merlin provides insights, and Merlin has a perspective that people on Earth don't really have. But when you hear what he says, it's very, sometimes it's mind bending, it's very eye opening, and it makes you think. And so he said that we, in humans in this physical form, have got the concept of life and death backwards, that we talk about life being eternal. And he said, and that is true, except that this physicality is an entrapment, which is really death. That this is death because the soul is trapped by the body. Okay? And that all the limitations that we face, taking care of health and worry, and all the things that we do to go through life. And that's why time in the physicality is so short compared to eternity. And we get these opportunities periodically to come in, and we come from love. And the idea is to find love again. I don't mean the love of your life. I mean to fill the vessel with love. And Merlin was saying that you notice that when people are getting ready to cross over, that they get a smile on their face with their eyes closed, because they see where they're going. They're going home. And they know that they're being released, from this entrapment into that blissful utopian existence where there is no worry. It's simply the state of being in perfect love. And there was something else he said about this condition. I'm trying to think now. It was really powerful and very thought-provoking.
I'm going to jump in for a quick second while you remember that. So when we take the time to meditate, when you take the time to be in nature, when you take the time to literally look at your feelings that are not love and process through them and get back to love, that's the purpose of being here, to reconnect with that feeling, to really be connected with the first driver while we're in the vessel. So that's why we have those cups that say, fill the vessel with love, fill the vessel with peace, fill the vessel with joy. That's the point of being here in the human body, is to learn from those experiences, those feelings, transcend them, and get back to the connection.
Right.
Did you remember what you were going to say?
No, not off the top of my head. I'll think about it. But it was very powerful. And it's actually very understandable that this is death and that's life.
It's weird to think about.
Right. And that's why we have, this recognition of that there is this non-physical existence that is, where, eternal happiness really is.
I'm going to bring up something that might be a little challenging. Just before I came on here, I was actually quite distracted. One of my clients had a good friend that committed suicide. So when you're hearing this and you're hearing, it's like, this is death, and there's a part of it where I think there are people that are like, well, why don't I just let go of this one and get back to there really quick? Why is that not a good idea?
To quote unquote off yourself?
Yeah.
Because it's part of karma, not the fifth commandment. It's part of karma. I think the fifth commandment is now shall not kill. We are not in control of that on the physical level. We're in control of that on the soul level. And so karma begins by choosing this physical being that we come in to be. We pick our parents, we pick when and where we're born, but it's not for us to change the destiny via, ending this physicality against the sort of our destination. I know there's other things Merlin said. I just thought of it, by the way. And so we create karma that we didn't really need to create. And when we come into this existence, yes, there are aspects of ourselves, whether you see it in the personality or the astrology chart, that are challenges. But as the guides told me many years ago, that whatever challenges that we have, they are indigenous to this physical being, the brain, the heart, and there's nothing that we're given that is out of the reach of being able to repair that. In other words, if you were a TV repairman, you have a toolbox that fixes anything that's audio visual equipment, but you don't get plumbing problems. Okay? Whatever problem you have the ability to fix it.
The other thing with all the different people that I've studied, I think it was Abraham that said this, I'm not 100%, but basically it is a gift to be in the physical human body and have that experiences that we create for ourselves, to be in love, to have these connections with each other, to be able to physically touch and to make love and to, enjoy food, enjoy life, and enjoy going out in nature and having a skydiving experience or whatever those things are that really set your heart on fire.
And Merlin said that when we have moments for no reason where we feel this lift, like it's kind of utopian, like there's this level of happiness, that's when you actually have gone through the veil a little bit and have felt the other side and how good it is.
Which is why I meditate.
Right. So
those are those moments where I'm like,
we do touch that. The other thing that Merlin said in a different session with him, he said that, and this is something that in our closing time here, that he really wanted to make sure we understand this, that all of us have a destiny. We have a soul that came into this being to achieve whatever that is. You have a purpose, and you have, by your intention, goals and achievements that you want to make happen. And he said that because of your connection of what you come from, no matter what authority figures do or say, he said, they do not determine the outcome of your life the way it's imposed. That, yes, there are the price of eggs and the price of gasoline, that if you want that, you pay more. But what he meant was that those figures do not determine the outcome of your life, that no matter what they say or do, as long as you are focused on your intentions and creating your life the way you want it to come out, that you will do that, and not to be intimidated or succumb to, what we're being told to do and this and that. Okay. He was very adamant about that. It's like, you have a destiny. It's for you to achieve that destiny with your intentions, and nothing can get in your way, as long as you don't let that happen.
That's super important. That is super important to understand, because again, when we're looking at this moment and so many people are worried about things that are happening, that could happen, that might happen, it looks like whatever, it's really important when you go into the fear of that. That's not you being creative in a way that works for you. So if you're going into being angry about something, it's okay. A lot to be angry about, but you want to go into your righteous anger and you really want to investigate it and you want to really look at it from all angles. And then what are you going to do?
Right.
What actions are you going to take?
Well, and it's, when you say creative, it's being co-creative, procreative, not reactive.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And if you have challenges, read Audrey's book. If you don't have Audrey's book, the mind trip game, geez, it's like, you have your tools for transformation workbook, which I make people use. But,
actually, for anybody out there that wants to buy the book, you buy the book and I will give you the playbook for free. I'll send it to you.
And if you buy her book and mine, we'll give you a special deal and the price. But you have to contact us to find out what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. And for anybody who is financially challenged, I always like to make it very reasonable for people. And a lot of people don't have the time to literally sit down and read. I know that one. I have it on my YouTube channel. There's a playlist with the whole book. So each kind of section is a different video. So each
Right.
video is 30 minutes or less. So I go through the whole book with you, and I can give a little added content in there. So you have all kinds of options, but I put it together in a way that is very user friendly. And I think for all of us, I mean, people come in all the time with me and it's like, I don't know what to do. And well, it's like,
Mhm.
here's the tools, here's what
Right.
you do. And with the couple of minutes that we have left, literally a couple of minutes, yeah, I'm not going to go into this because we don't have enough time, but I I ask my clients a lot of questions because I want to get them into a critical thinking space.
Yes.
And I asked one of my clients a question recently, and because I saw where they were going in their conversation, and I saw this thing, and so I wanted to question them on it. And the question that I asked again in a women's group last night. The question is, how are you valuable? And this person literally was stumped. And it's really important to look at how you're valuable, because a lot of times people own their value. Well, I'm valuable because I have this. I'm valuable because I do that. I'm valuable to people because I help them, or whatever those things are where we find our value. Like I used to be valuable as a hairstylist.
Hmm.
And when I stopped being a hairstylist and I didn't have that value anymore, I went into a bit of a depression. So it's a really important time right now to step back and look at, where do I own my value? And
Right.
it's unique to each of us, but when you read my book, you will see how
Hmm.
you can own your value.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, Nick, how can people get a hold of you?
They can call the center at 818-865-8770. They can write into Facebook. I'm Nick Newmont. Email me at nnewmont@gmail.com. However, I would actually prefer a phone call because I am flooded with a lot of contacts. And the best way to get me is the phone 818-865-8770. That's what I respond to the quickest.
Well, I'm going to say in the last 2 minutes, he did just turn 70, and it was a lovely party. And it was really fun to have people get up and roast him.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also get up and really appreciate him, because I left it open to appreciate him, roast or whatever. And it's interesting because he has all these different segments of his life. He's got this business that we share together. He's got his private clientele and his private business. He's got his classes. He's got his family. He's got his friends. He's a softball coach for girls softball. I mean, there's all these different avenues. And I have to say, you really manage all of it so well.
Thank you.
And he's very kind with people and compassionate. And I think one of the biggest things, and for all the people out there in relationships, Nick and I have been in this relationship for a long time at this point.
Hmm.
And one of the key things, if you're wondering, how do you keep a relationship thriving? It's that ability to step out of the defense and look at what we do. I've done things in 26 years, he's done things. And
Mhm.
when you're defensive about it, you're never going to change it. But when
Right.
you're able to hear the other person, and Nick hears when I speak, he hears what's going on for me, and he makes those adjustments. And he's also, it's a reciprocal thing. And we've
Mhm.
been talking about reciprocity a lot lately, he and I, because it's really important in life. Are you being reciprocal? And Nick and I are very reciprocal with each other,
Yep.
and we feel like we're reciprocal with other people. And that is another one of those
Mhm.
key things that makes life grand, when you're in reciprocity.
Right.
So it's a good word to look up, and it's a good word to look at within your own life. And am I reciprocal? Or am I getting, or just giving, and not
Right.
getting. There is a lot to that. So
Sure.
thank you very much for
welcome.
being you. Mwah.
Thank
He-
you.
He's a
Thanks for
good
having-
man. I'll
Thank-
keep him.
Another 70 years.
Yeah. And it's exactly 5:00.
There we go.
I will be back on again very soon, and I have a few people that I'm lining up. I'm going to be much busier in my 63 years with this podcast. So please share with your friends, like it, go on my YouTube channel, please, and subscribe, and also subscribe to Mainstream Metaphysics with Nick. And I will look forward to seeing you all soon. Much love.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.